Everybody, we're back. It is King Crocoduck versus Kent Hovind Debate 3 after show. The butt kicking continues. We have Richard with us. We have General Han Solo. Welcome to anybody who wants to come join us. Come on in. The link is in the video description. The link is out there. I put it in the Great Debate community. I put it in various places. So if you can't find it, you're not looking very hard. But if you really can't find it, just message me and I'll give it to you. But there's just so much to go over in this particular debate. It was brutal. I think Casey did an amazing, epic job, like he always does. I did like the first debate out of all three. I'm partial to that. Maybe it's just my own personal preference, but I think that Casey came out of the gate strong, and he basically just he had passion, and he got into science, and he kept on showing time and time again that Hovind has no idea in the world about basic physics, and yet he claims to be a physics teacher, and yet his understanding is that of a child. And I think that's the takeaway from this particular debate. And we're going to go over some of the things that Ken has said and why, from a physics point of view, because we have a physicist in here and I've got a little bit of understanding of the topic, why what Ken said was fractally wrong. And it's like KC said when he said that it's wronger than wrong. That means something
you can gish, but you can't gallop.
I love that one too. You can gish, but you can't gallop. But when something's so fundamentally wrong that's practically wrong, potato, it's just wronger than wrong. And so I think that most of what Ken said was wronger than wrong. But anyways, if you got a science background, come on in, give your 2 cents. If you don't, who cares? Come on in anyways. I want to put out again shouts to the people that promoted this particular debate. Apologia made a very, very epic trailer for this that KC had put on his channel, and the Goddess Cranium was nice enough to put in the tail end of one of his videos, which was exceptionally nice. He didn't have to do that. So please, if you watch this after show, if you have not subscribed to Apologia or Goddess Cranium, go do so, because they have amazing stuff on their channel. They're just awesome. So anyways, guys, so let's get your guys' opinion on here. I'm going to start with the theist of the group. Actually, we have 3 theists in here.
Can I get a mic check real quick?
Yes,
please?
Mike, it works.
Thank you.
So we got 3 theists in here. So from 3 theist perspective, let's start with Richard. How do you think that it went?
Well, I'm not like a scientist, but I thought Casey did really well. He sounded really scholarly, and Kent Hovind, there were a few times when it seemed like, even from my perspective, what he was saying was just overly simplified. Like he said something like, "Turn on the Weather Channel and you'll hear low pressure systems, blah blah blah," and it just seemed like it was just oversimplified. So yeah, I'm actually a little curious about the whole canopy thing. Like, Robert, maybe you can tell me a little about that. Like, why can't you have the suspended layer of ice above the Earth being held up by, what was it, magnetism or something like that?
Well, I don't know if you want me to get into that right now. I don't mind, but
go ahead.
Did you want to just do introductions first, or?
No, you go ahead. We can dive right into it. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind talking a little about the why there's some problems with his theory on this as well.
Yeah. So a number of things can actually happen. It depends on what you call the thickness of the canopy. You know, that's the thing with this stupid idea, is that it's so. It's just, oh yeah, there's this canopy that covers it. Well, okay, how thick is it? What type of composition is it made of? So Kent says it's ice, right? Well, a vapor canopy, even existing for a short time, would set up such a powerful greenhouse effect that no ice liquid would remain on Earth to sustain life. And if that canopy that is of ice, if it starts to then, because notice Casey was saying the heat, the greenhouse will then simultaneously affect the ice to then convert back to liquid and then back to vapor. So you're talking about thermodynamics here. What Casey didn't add on it to say, and that is that transformation of the canopy from ice to liquid to gas would actually consume the heat of the Earth, so much so that it'll actually then freeze the planet.
That's called the latent heat of vaporization, right?
Exactly. And this is what I was saying in my debate to Kent last time. Like I was, I asked him the same question because and that's another thing, Steve. Did you notice he thought I was contradicting myself? So at one moment you're saying it'll cook the planet, the other moment you're saying it's going to freeze the planet. Guess what? It's both.
Yeah, because as you said, when you're doing a phase change, you're going from ice to gas. Any energy you put in that system is going to go into the breaking of the bonds, which is going to change the state of the system, the physical molecular bonds of the system, not the temperature. So even though you're trying it's the same way while you're boiling water. Once you hit that 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius, after that, you're not adding any more thermal energy, raising the temperature. All that thermal energy is going into a phase change, causing it to turn to steam. So you would have had this massive amount of heat being drawn out of the Earth to cause that phase change.
And so notice, Richard, if speaking as Christians here, either way, you don't need the flood. So you don't need the flood if you have this massive greenhouse effect that will kill all life, and you don't need the flood when suddenly the whole Earth becomes frozen. It's just absolutely the canopy theory is just, I don't know where Kent Hovind gets it from. He says that even in this debate with Casey, he says, "Oh, Josephus mentioned it." What Ken doesn't realize is Josephus is depending on Hellenistic ideas on the so-called hemisphere composition of the sky. But then you have early church fathers like Basil that, and I quote, he called it a childish theory. So as early as the 4th century AD, you already have people saying, no, that's absolutely stupid. This idea that it's you have this like solid like dome structure. When Josephus said place.
So if it predated Hovind, why does he call it the Hovind theory? Isn't that what this is?
Well, I think he likes to take on the notion that he's the one who's discovered the ancients' idea of this sort of thing, when actually, no, all he's doing is rehashing ancient Near-Eastern cosmology.
And Casey
thinking it's
sorry, go ahead.
Scientific.
And Casey was right to point out that there's no physics in the world on the planet that would allow for what kind of suggestion for more than many reasons. He doesn't understand the difference between turbulent and laminar flow. In any kind of fluid like the atmosphere, you're going to have a laminar flow that's near the surface, okay? But just because the Earth is not smooth, that laminar flow is going to be very, very small. Matter of fact, most of it's going to be turbulent. This thing called the Reynolds number that gives you the how fast you're going to change from a laminar to a turbulent flow in a system, like in a pipe. I don't know why he kept going back to things like, oh, well, look at cold weather or pressure systems. No, it doesn't matter. And if also, General, did you not notice he kept on saying, like, look, if you have this canopy, he was trying to treat it as a closed system and inadvertently trying to apply Pascal's pressure law, which is any pressure exerted on a closed fluid at rest, we transmit it equally and undiminished throughout the fluid into the walls of its container. So he would have destroyed all life as we know it if his theory was true, because of the pressure would have been so immense because of pressure gradients.
Right. And yeah, exactly. I mean, to have a system like the pressure system that he's talking about that we are able to make, you have to have a feeder from the outside to maintain a structural integrity. And what maintains the structural integrity to this canopy? Either it'll dissipate into outer space or it'll come crashing to the ground. It'll last 2-3 days, I would predict.
Well, think of the stresses on it. The stresses on that would be just amazing. And also, in order to have
you're talking about at what altitude are you talking about? Are you talking about 700 kilometers up into space? Like at what altitude? Therefore, you have to take into account the size of the surface area. Then you have to take into account the type of pressure that he's angling for. Then you need a certain thickness.
How much surface area will that be, General? I mean, think about it. That surface area going the sun radiating on that's a lot of energy.
Squared. The R squared you add on top of the height from the surface to to the height of where the canopy is, and then as KC was talking about, this is thermal fluid thermodynamics, where you're talking about the composition in between the surface on the ground and the canopy itself. It's a fluid system. Then, when you take into account radiation effects from the sun, and not only that, but also from the core of the Earth, when you have uranium and thorium and potassium decaying to produce the heat and the volcanoes and so on, this is a ridiculous system. It just makes no sense.
It fails on every level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why.
So there's some.
Okay.
There's something else on like a basic level that I wanted to ask about. So Ken brought up this idea that you can't have a Volkswagen packed into this tiny dot. And what I was thinking, and maybe I was wrong about this, but wouldn't this be where like a E equals MC squared comes in, like energy converting to matter, right? So you wouldn't actually have the actual matter; you'd have energy.
I would say no, but
yeah.
Jen will say probably. You're going to say yes, because I'm going to say no on that. But we're going to look at it from different points of view. I think.
No. I know what you mean, Steve. But you're talking about a high energy state. That's
you're on Planck scale
when the universe. Right, and then when the universe in a hyperinflation rate expands out and starts to cool, and the cooling is pretty quick as well. High energy state, you start to form into subatomic particles, and then they start to form into other things, and then you get stabilized, then become the protostars, and on it goes. It's not a direct E equals MC squared equivalence that you're thinking of, Richard. This is where Casey mentioned last time that there were certain tests done to prove that was the case from just a vacuum in itself to cause those plates to shut together. So
the vacuum energy.
Yeah,
and not only that. I mean, the Planck scale is such a scale that even our most powerful super colliders have not even come near. I mean, they are a fraction. Like something like a trillionth what they need.
Not even a fraction.
Yeah, it's nothing.
10 to the minus 20 or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's trillions of something.
Right. You need such a huge collider to even understand the physics.
You need something about the size of the Earth right now. You would need a super collider about the size of the Earth in order to reach those kind of.
Or something like that. Yeah.
So we don't know what holds true at those energy levels. And the dot that they like to talk about, to me, has always just been a mathematical placeholder. That's a point where quantum loop gravity probably takes over, or there's some kind of relationship between quantum gravity and general relativity, because general relativity may not hold true. We know general relativity doesn't hold true in those mathematical situations. So there's something
Casey
else.
Forgot to do.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know if he did it, but he mentioned general relativity like. He was showing to Kent the predictions of gravity, the change of clocks, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
What Casey should have then done, and that would have been a perfect opportunity, is to show general relativity as a foundational mathematical theorem to describe the Big Bang. And so, that would have been a golden opportunity.
I'm surprised he didn't. But the mathematics for special relativity for time dilation, like Lorentz contraction, is simple. It's real simple. It's just 1 divided by the square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared. But the one for general relativity for time dilation, not so easy. And I think that would have lost a lot of people because that's using an integral.
But you know me, I like to.
Well, yeah, but you teach calculus, so you're going to understand how to do an integration. So
maybe not go through the equation, but actually just tell Ken, hey, look, by the way, just we're on topic. Why the Big Bang is true, and then bang, here it is.
Well, all you need to relate to somebody is look at, you have a gradient, and in that gradient, gravity is going to be different from one place to another. Just like everybody knows, like spaghettification. So you're falling into a black hole, the gravity on your feet is going to be at a greater pull than the on your head, the gravity on the head. So you have a spaghettification effect. The same thing on any gradient, you always have a differential of gravity. So what all you need to do is talk about the time dilation is, well, where are you in that gradient? If the gradient is denser because you have a higher gravitational field because of more mass, then you're just using this equation to figure out, okay, what is my percentage of light, or excuse me, my percentage of time being slowed down.
Right.
But it's
and Casey did a brilliant answer, and yeah, he did a brilliant answer, and basically because I knew exactly where Kent was going, and again, it just proves my that I think he's been reading, and here it comes again. I think he's been reading John Hartnett's work, because he was saying, at that dot, at the Planck scale, you have a high energy state, hence high gravity and so on, and hence you have like different clocks. But Casey was like, yeah, but as you know, the 2013 Planck data, the WMAP data, it's proven now that you have a hyperinflation, which means change in the clocks is so tiny, like because of this hyperinflation, there's no change in physics practically, so to speak, because young creationists like to say that, if you have, in this case, Russell Humphreys, you have a white hole cosmology, the Earth's at the center, and you have this rapid acceleration of the universe out. And so therefore, to fit it in a 6-day work, the clocks have to be like trillions of times different from Earth clocks, from elsewhere.
Right, but the big thing is,
Kent was trying to trap him on that.
It's a predictive model that works. We can use this information. This is where Kent fails every time. This is what I was trying to get from the cosmic microwave background radiation when they predicted the temperature being around. They initially had about 5 Kelvin. It's like I said, it's 2.725 now, but the amount of plus or minus on that is pretty small. There's obviously some anisotropies. I get that,
wasn't it?
It's 0.003%. It's really low. What's predicted?
No. Didn't they originally predicted like 3, and then then the actual measurements came to 2.
You know what? I thought it was really around 3 too. Casey said 5. I just went with that. I thought it was really about 3. But even still, the fact that you predict something between 2 or 5 Kelvin is pretty damn good. Which
is still very low. 5 Kelvin is still very low.
Right, but a lot of people don't understand what the cosmic microwave background radiation is, and I think Casey did a decent job in explaining it, but I don't think it was full enough where Kent's audience is going to understand it, because in a nutshell, it's a really simple thing. Early on in the early part of the universe, it was hot, right? And so you couldn't have atoms form, and there was a sea of these electrons. And these sea of electrons prevented photons from going anywhere. These photons would just bounce around. It was just one big opaque mass of hot energy hot. It's hot, but it's only because the electrons are traveling at a very high kinetic energy. There was no atoms at the time. But after it started cooling down, the recombination period allowed this decoupling effect that he was talking about, where the electrons could combine with the protons to form hydrogen, right? Monatomic hydrogen. At that point, the photons were no longer being bounced around, so there's a flash of light, and the light was a 360-degree flash of photons going out. The wavelength of that is what they predicted would be around 3 or so Kelvin. That's the residual light. Well, what we would see of it nowadays, how much of it's cooled down over billions of years, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that afterglow. So when they say the CMB is the afterglow of the Big Bang, that's what they mean about it. That is something that was highly novel in its prediction. And when I'm asking Kent about that, I was like, well, creation science didn't predict anything about that. And he's like, well, maybe one of them was creationist. It didn't matter. They're not using creation science to make that prediction. And he doesn't get that. Same thing with general relativity. We can use general relativity and special relativity to calibrate GPS, and it works. Ergo, the model works. And he doesn't like the fact these models work. Young creationists don't like the fact that models work. We can use them. They have practical applications. They hate that because do you know how many young Earth models have practical applications? 0. Absolutely 0.
Yeah, absolutely none.
Yeah.
I guess a related point, I guess kind of related to philosophy of science, would be Kent's understanding of, predictive capabilities. Because he said something like, "Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true," and that would be right. You guys would probably agree with that. Like the fact that a model can make predictions doesn't mean that it's absolutely true. It
Right.
means that like there's a higher probability that's true.
I agree with that.
That works.
I'm a scientific instrumentalist. I don't even care space-time curves. The math works. No, seriously. I mean, you could be a scientific instrumentalist. You can be a scientific realist. Most people I know are instrumentalists. It doesn't matter if that is actually the reality of it. The model only represents how we could use a way of understanding what we think is reality and make predictions and make an explanation from it. That's really all that matters. We can never actually know if this stuff is what reality actually is, because we have to assume reality is real to begin with. If we actually knew the actual makeup of reality, we wouldn't need that Basel assumption anymore. But I don't think we'd ever reach that state of epistemic certainty. I don't think we could ever get there as humans.
Right.
I'm sober, so forgive me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. I'm going on all kinds of weird shit. Sorry.
I don't know if you can see this, but
Yeah, I can see
I
it.
just did a search. I came across the where was it? I'll have to zoom out. But this is a rough like overview of exactly what Casey was getting at. 3-degree thing I just came across.
Yeah, I thought it was about 3-degree beginning as well.
Here it is. Yeah. So by the way, this is from Hugh Ross's book, Creator in the Cosmos. He writes under the chapter 4, The Discovery of the 20th Century. And he does a brilliant job in basically summarizing the whole thing. He says at the time, we're talking back 1948, at the time, such a low temperature was hopelessly beyond the capabilities of telescopes and detectors to measure. But by 1964, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson put together an instrument that successfully measured at radio wavelengths the cosmic background radiation, which is the heat, to be at a temperature of about 3 degrees Celsius above absolute zero. So that's 3 Kelvin. So then the first COBE discovery. So here's the frequency versus, what is this, in ergs per second. So there's the mathematics actually fits the, so they made a prediction, and then they interpolated the temperature of what they were measuring, and guess what? It was a direct proportional fit.
Yeah, and whenever you have a perfect
with
match,
respect to 1% error.
Yeah, if you got a perfect match on a estimated plot, you're golden. I mean, that's how they determined that the gravity waves, right, from LIGO. They initially had a predictive waveform, what to expect if they had two black holes merge. And when they got this exact waveform, it was like the fingerprint going up. Right. There we go. This is exactly what we predicted.
And here's the highlight part of this. Let me zoom in so everyone can see it. So then they went through a second phase and then the third phase. And by the way, this book, don't forget, is written. Update to this book was written in 2001. All right. So look at this. So the deviations between the 1990 COBE results and the spectrum for a perfect rate are measured less than 1% of the entire range of observed frequencies. Data released from the COBE research team at an American Astronautical Society meeting in January 1993 reduced the deviation to less than 0.03, which is exactly what Steve just said.
That's where you go. See, I have looked at this stuff before.
Yeah. So the new data, most precise measure to date. So don't forget, this is in 2001. So this is well before Planck, right? Because we recently had 2013 and 2015 data that takes us even 10 decimal places accurate, right? But back in 1993, the date of the temperature of the cosmic background radiation is 2.726 Kelvin, a measure that is accurate to within 0.01 Kelvin and completely consistent with new independent measurements. And so here's officially now the temperature gradients that's taking place.
Yeah, but how do younger creationist scientists, quote unquote scientists, because they're not scientists, how do they explain these predictions? Kent couldn't do it. Obviously, I mean, I would like to ask Humphreys Maybe this is a question I'll bring to his attention. He is available now, so I need to start sending him some questions. But how do they rationalize this away? These are evidences showing these models work, that you can't just hand wave them away and say, oh, there's nothing to the Big Bang. Well, obviously there is, because we made very novel predictions from it. And everything has a consilience to it too. Look, the further we look back with telescopes, we go back further and further. We start seeing, older stars. We're seeing older galaxies. We're seeing older quasars. Eventually, we get to the point we can't even see any further, which is a prediction. There's a point we can't see any further. We'll never be able to see that initial rapid inflation because it's hidden away forever by this opaque recombination period of very hot electrons and photons, right? So we're never going to be able to see past that, because it'd be like trying to peer through a brick wall.
It's actually, Steve, that's very easy to explain. That is very easy to explain from the YE6 perspective.
Okay, Edgar, this is your one shot, and you better make it good. Explain how because Kent couldn't answer it. Explain how the younger creationists explain away the fact that the Big Bang model predicted exactly this 2.725 or 2.726 Kelvin background radiation. How do you explain that the model predicted that exact value? Well, within plus or minus.
Well, we need first to understand that the formula that our scientists had used, that was the formula from Einstein. Okay, because they followed what Einstein general relativity.
Okay, this has nothing to do with Einstein. This has nothing to do with Einstein. This has nothing to do with relativity.
I'm explaining, and you told me to explain. And then when you use that formula, you will arrive to a conclusion, because in that formula there was also a time on that time, and you can use that. You can compute the time.
Okay, I'm going to save us all. I'm going to save us a lot of time. Bye, Edgar. I'm going to save us a lot of time and just not have to deal with any of that, because that's just nonsensical rambling. Sorry, guys. I'm just not in the mood for Edgar. That was just he doesn't even know what the hell the topic is, and he's just rambling off on general relativity. He doesn't have any clue what I or General had said in the last 15 to 20 minutes.
Thank you for kicking him.
You're welcome, Mike. By the way, Mike, you need to join more often. You've been really hesitant to.
Why is that?
You haven't joined my hangouts very often anymore.
I feel like I don't have much to contribute.
So.
When I do, you guys get into this complicated math and the.
So.
Then I feel out of my depth.
So, come on in, man. Go Navy. Machinist mates.
All right, I'll more.
Hey,
That's why you need.
Go ahead, Richard.
So that's why you need people like Edgar in here to kind of balance it out, and then you have
that's an extreme balance, Richard.
Yeah, no, that's going into severe retardation.
The complete ignoramus scale on the other end.
Yeah, I have never seen somebody so clueless as Edgar. Just absolutely clueless.
Well, I don't think he's clueless. I think he's delusional. I think. I don't know. I think there's some.
He's written books before, so.
Yeah, you don't have a book. He's got books.
Yeah, so that means he's actually something. Having books, written books means I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste this hangout for Edgar to absolutely talk like a child on topics he doesn't know what he's even remotely talking about. That's not going to happen any longer. When Edgar gets an education, that because he pretends to have one, then maybe we'll talk. But until then, yeah, I'm just not interested in his.
Let's. I want to analyze the debate a little bit more. Did you guys notice that Hovind was a lot more slower, like in the sense that he was. He knew he was in the hot seat, so to speak, and he wanted to maintain a topic at a time. He seemed to be more attentive.
Well, Richard had pointed out that he was more rhetoric, a lot more.
Oh my God, he's getting self-aware.
Yeah, but then you see every time he did that, and every time Casey would respond back with a witty answer, he would then even slow down even more, and then try and think of another thing to bring up. And so therefore, you have to reverse psychologize this. I think he knew he completely lost that, and I'm wondering if he'll even update it on his.
No, he'll have. No,
upload it
of
on his
course he will.
channel.
No, he doesn't think he lost. He's a narcissist. But I mean, the only criticism I had. I mean, I'm honest to Casey. I don't tell him what he wants to hear, or I don't placate to him, even though, I have the utmost respect for him, and I think he's amazing. But I hate the fact that they keep going down these fucking rabbit holes. And I hate the fact that every time that Kent brings up something like the Green Mile, you spend 5 minutes talking about the Green Mile and how it would have changed. It has nothing to do with anything, right?
Yeah. No, but that exactly, I agree with that.
I mean, when I didn't debate Kent.
Casey did.
Go ahead.
I mean, Casey kind of did like shoot him down on the whole. How do you interpret evidence if it was the Green Mile?
Yeah, no, he shot it down pretty well.
He then brought that back into the actual topic.
But
these tangents are typical of Kent.
Yeah, when I talk to Kent though, in my videos when I'm having a discussion with him, I don't let him use red herrings. I deflect his red herrings right off the bat. There's no reason to, and I don't go down those rabbit trails, and I go right back on point, because you could tell that he was woefully out of his league. You could tell he didn't understand any of these topics. And he wasn't even sure that that's what the Big Bang even predicted. I'm like,
yeah. In fact,
so you don't even know what the Big Bang actually predicted? Are you kidding me?
In fact, Steve, you did a brilliant job in basically in very good layman terms explaining to Kent. Hang on a second, Kent. An explosion. If you're talking about, say, multivariable systems, so like in multivariable calculus, you're talking about within space-time, motion moving out at certain vectors and so on, vector directions, that then you're talking about an exploding piece or something. But the Big Bang is not about that. It's a system that's expanding. Space-time is expanding.
Yeah, did you like the way I redirected that?
And so
I thank you. I think I did.
No,
I thought I did a pretty good job
really
on getting that right on back on target, because I mean, obviously, I do know a little about this. I don't want to help anybody, but I want to clarify. That's why I phrased it in the form of a question, because I phrased it in a way.
Yeah. Right. But did you notice Kent Hovind didn't actually continue that discussion after you explained it that way?
Yeah, he couldn't.
Because then his entire argument that it's an explosion just was shut down.
Yeah, he couldn't, because it's not an explosion, because explosion is defined. If you go look at an explosion, it is something that expands in a unit volume. And that's not what the Big Bang was. The volume itself, the container itself, if so to speak, the parameters of what the universe would be, the three and fourth dimensional, it was expanding. And that's not the same thing. That's not an explosion by any definition. And that's why you only find it in these other low-key textbooks, right? I mean, yeah, it's you're in a fifth grade high school or whatever, not even high school, but fifth grade science book, and it says, "Oh, the Big Bang was an explosion." Sure, it's wrong and it should be changed, but you don't draw upon those sources for your information, right? I mean, yes, I believe that he's right. If a fifth grade textbook says Big Bang's explosion, it should be changed, right? I agree with Hovind on that, actually.
Isn't an explosion an expansion of energy?
Well, no. Energy is the ability to do work. But
as Steve said, it's a unit volume here.
Yeah, it's per unit volume. It's a gradient pressure force that starts off from a centralized location, and then you have the pressure gradient move out.
Right.
And that's where you have what's called pressure waves. And then as it goes through different mediums, the pressure wave travels at a different rate. That's why, for example, like if you've been like shelled and you're getting mortar fire and stuff like that, the last thing you ever want to do is dive into a pool or anything like that, or a lake, because the pressure waves travel very easily through water, and your body's mostly water, and it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. It's a lot easier for that pressure wave to go through water than it is through air. But if you're under gunfire, then you want to jump in the lake, because gunfire can't penetrate very deep. So,
and then so after you said that, Steve, Casey then went back to the raisin analogy.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Basically saying, and then he's kind of like, okay, So if the raisins were to shoot out from the middle of the cake, say outwards to the surface of the cake, yeah, that's an explosion within the unit volume of that cake. But if the cake expands and hence the raisins' positions relative to each other start to increase in distance, system expanding, which in this case is not an explosion.
Yeah,
so that was a really good tag team.
The only thanks. The only thing and maybe I'm being pedantic, but the only thing I don't like about the raisin or the balloon and the dots analogy is that, for example, in the balloon analogy, when you're blowing up that balloon and you have dots on it and they're expanding away from each other, sure, visualizing that is great. It's a fine analogy for that. But the difference is, there you have a material that's being stretched. But in reality, space-time is not just being stretched. It's being created. So the balloon analogy is not only just being stretched, but you're actually creating more balloon. So that's where it fails.
Cut out.
No. Yeah, I agree. These analogies are like probably the best we can for the layman to understand. But yeah.
When it expands.
What's that?
You hear me?
What?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Steve, you cut out a little bit. What is it doing when it expands? It's not.
You're cutting out, actually, not us. It's not just expanding. It's actually creating space-time. Space-time is actually being created. So the balloon analogy kind of fails on that unless the balloon is actually creating more balloon.
Yeah. So you know when we blow into a balloon and the balloon inflates, right? And so the material is designed, the lattice structure of the material is designed in such a way that it'll stretch. Now, what Steve is saying, which is true, there is no stretching of the material. Imagine that the material starts to like add to each other, like it's growing, where it'll never stretch, but it'll always maintain a growth. So you're creating from ex nihilo, literally, space, space-time in this case. That's the analogy for the
Edgar's
universe.
threatening to go on his channel and make a video on how he's treated. Edgar, nobody watches your channel. Nobody has any scientific training of any kind, including, I would say, somebody that has a junior high-level education, takes you seriously. You are literally, and you're a nice guy, Edgar, and I hate to say this, but you literally are one of the dumbest people I've ever met in science. But I like you. I like Edgar. I like Edgar. I like Edgar. He's a nice guy. But his understanding of science is wretched. Just absolutely freaking wretched. And I know mine sucks. I've been out of it for years.
This is not going to turn into a tangent, but I had a hangout. Richard was in it on the King James translation. Edgar came in about an hour into the hangout. He then took me to a passage in Song of Songs that mentions the cooing of the turtle doves. Now, that's a modern translation version of it. In the King James, it says, "Voice of the turtle can be heard in the land." Didn't realize the word turtle in Elizabethan English literally means turtle dove. He thought the voice of the turtle, meaning the reptile, is heard in the land, and therefore the cedar trees are built for the turtle.
Turtles all the way down?
The cedar trees are built for...
It's turtles all the way down, though.
So the context is the turtle doves will nest in the trees. He thought this is speaking about turtles.
Oh, good God.
That will nest in the trees.
Jesus Christ.
Or voice. or turtles coo, like the cooing of a turtle dove.
For fuck's sake.
I kid you not, it's recorded, but there you go. That's Edco for you.
For fuck's sake, you can't just make that stuff up. I mean, you just really can't. Oh my God. So the debate is on Casey's channel. That's good. He called it "You can gish, but you can't gallop." I love that. That's great. By the way, how do we get 250 people watching, 260 people watching the debate, and then only about we don't even have 100 right now watching this, which is kind of surprising. Where did everybody go? Did you guys run everybody off or what?
No, I think they enjoy that so much that they're just going and, I don't know, having a smoke and beer or something.
Exactly.
Just chilling.
It's like after sex, right?
Yeah.
Oh, RSC's making them White Russians. Oh, that sounds good. I like White Russians, actually. Yeah, they were now picking up a little bit after they missed all the best parts. But so, anyways, what else you got to say? Jade, what do you think? Are you there?
Kent Hovind is an embarrassment to Christianity
and humanity.
Oh yeah,
he really is. He does Christians no favors. He drives more people away from religion than probably anybody.
I mean, I was telling, I kid you not, I was telling Apologia last night in a private chat. I was saying, hey, Apologia, like Steve McRae, Apologia, those who advocate, they don't claim to be Christian, but they advocate truthfulness as far as scientific rigor goes, as scientific investigation, experiment, and so on, are so much closer to Jesus than you realize. Like the embodiment of what Jesus wanted, and that is truth to be declared.
I'm cool with that.
Like that.
I know how close to Jesus I am.
You guys actually don't realize that you're practicing exactly what he wanted his followers to practice. And here we have video last night on star formation, and I rarely get triggered, but I was getting so triggered, absolute nonsense from Eric Hovind's mouth. And now, obviously, here, hearing Kent the way he was going on, I wouldn't be surprised if Jesus actually says, hey, you do realize these so-called scoffers that you call are actually the ones demonstrating exactly what I wanted the church to demonstrate.
Well, I got to tell you, if
and you weren't doing that at all.
If religion is true,
we are supposed to be.
And
we are supposed to be seekers of truth.
If religion is true, something's fundamentally wrong if Jesus doesn't look at Eric Hovind and go, "I don't know you. I never knew you. Get away from me." Something was seriously wrong.
But Steve, I'm saying he would.
I'm agreeing with you. From when I read the scriptures, that is the people. Those are the snake oil people. The scribes. When Jesus was it Jesus in Luke or Matthew? They're talking about the scribes. There should be greater damnation. They condemn this kind of stuff, and these guys are just no different than modern Pharisees out for money.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah.
I mean,
the audacity that Kent just told Casey, "Oh, I had a wonderful life." Yeah, 10 years in jail. Hello.
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't. Nobody brought that up. It was probably good, but yeah, I thought the same thing.
I would have brought that up.
But Pascal's wager.
You have to tell him straight.
Pascal's wager is immoral.
It is. Yeah, it's not a good argument. Never has been, and people long since abandoned that. But not Kent.
It's just really just fake it. That's what Pascal's wager comes down to, faking it.
Well, it's more than that. Pascal's wager is just, if you even look at the odds, the odds are more likely that you belong to the wrong religion than anybody else, too. So therefore, if you're going to play this game, well, if you don't believe what I say, you're going to go to hell. Well, what about all the other religions out there that say, well, if you don't follow us, you're going to go to hell?
What if we're all just seekers of truth, and we have different paths to follow?
And I'm okay with that. I'm much more towards universalism than anything else. If I was to be a theist again, I would be into universalism. It makes a lot more sense to me.
Well, in that paradigm,
I agree with that too.
You'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with Kent, having the last laugh when God's like, "Here you go, Kent."
Well, and that's fine too. I don't believe in eternal punishment, anyways. But but here's the thing: if everybody's up there and everybody finally learns all the truth, then Kent's punishment is basically, he was wrong the entire time. He was wrong.
Oh, majorly wrong.
And people that believed Kent are wrong.
Don't like even with Christianity, you have to be right. Like it's like you really have to hit a bullseye because not only you have to believe in Christianity, but then your correct version of Christianity has to always also be right because Kent doesn't believe the Catholics are going to be saved, and he doesn't believe mostly all these other denominations are going to be saved. So it's like really hitting a bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah, but guess what? We Catholics think that other people are going to be saved.
Right. Catholics don't believe you have to be Catholic to be saved. What they believe in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they believe that you're saved, but it's because of the Catholic Church, but you don't have to be a member to be able to be saved. Correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, right. And that
I know more than G-Man. Oh, sorry.
Yes, that is true. That is correct.
God will honor an honest search.
Yeah.
God,
right.
The honest soul, the honest mind.
The honest endeavor.
Right, the honest endeavor. Thank you, Blue. Then this is why the Pope, you'll notice, communes with. He will, have different kinds of services with imams and Hindus and Buddhists, and welcome them because we're all the children of God.
Well, that's a lot like universalism.
And none of us have the absolute truth. None of us do. Because we're human and we're fallible. And we should respect other people.
But a lot of them sure have lies.
And until they show they're not worthy of respect, of course.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes that takes a long time. Sometimes it takes 5 seconds.
Yeah, I can't disprove the Catholic Church. I wouldn't even try, right? I can't disprove, what General believes, but I can disprove what Kent believes. Anybody can. It's not that difficult to do. His beliefs are wrong, fundamentally, unequivocally.
You just need a third grade education.
Yeah, I mean that's why he gets destroyed in these debates, because he's way over his head and he has to resort to sophistry, and not even good.
But I don't think he cares.
No,
because what he's trying to do right now after 10 years in prison or 9+ whatever exactly it was, he's trying to rebuild his brand. He's building his new dinosaur park, and the thing is, there are people who will just follow him because they want to believe in him. So the more he talks, the more he's out there, the more chance he has of finding those special few, who will buy his bull and who will contribute to his church. It'll help him build his park. Because if you watch some of these videos, you'll see he's got all these people down there working for him for free. They're really happy to do what they think is the work of God. I come from a background in which a lot of people went and became missionaries and supported missions, but the point of the mission was not to convert people. The point of the mission was to bring books to them, mission to them, to bring medicine to them. You're not supposed to give people with religion. I think Kent is building his own little cult compound out there.
He is. Absolutely. In fact, Mary had, from what I understand, Mary had to call the police in order to leave, and she has to sue him or something in September to get her stuff back or something. I mean, there's some major stuff going on there. Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're a narcissist.
Yeah. And I really now have a better idea of what happened when he got to prison. His wife, now his ex-wife, and his son to stay in that room down the hall and not bother us, sort of thing. We're not going to have anything to do with him. Nothing like 9 years away to help you that rather awful influence.
Yeah, they got out from under his thumb, and they weren't going to go back.
No, they weren't. And as I said, not that Eric's surprised, but I would say there's probably a much better chance that he doesn't beat his wife.
No. I think Eric in this particular case did what he had to do to protect his mom.
I agree. I agree.
So I think he was actually being a decent person.
I think that was a very good thing.
Yeah.
Agreed. Got to give credit where credit is due.
That's right. And he doesn't seem quite as much of a lying fucktard, as in that, remember Eddie Goombas?
Yeah.
You're a fucktard, aren't you, Kent? Yeah. As his father is. I mean, he's still, same old crap, but he doesn't seem to be quite as disingenuous as his dad. Well, and can I just say this? I have to say this every time it Kent's on there. God damn textbooks from the 1980s and 1990s. And they're high school textbooks.
Yep. And they're going to be mistakes in there.
Yeah. And I actually
science has changed since then too.
Quite a bit. I mean, we're in a new century.
But there are going to be mistakes in the textbooks we have now too, though.
Oh sure.
Oh sure,
There's always going to be mistakes. So
things are radically different.
But what are we going to do? Are we going to get a medical textbook from the 1700s and go, oh look, they got this wrong? Well, yeah. I don't understand the point of that. The point
there's been an explosion of scientific research since there. I mean, it's like the Big Bang. It's been spreading out everywhere. It's just incredible. I
loved hearing Hovind say that science hasn't caught up to God's word about how he put the universe in a tent or something.
Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Stizer, I don't care if you restream my feed. Be my guest. I don't delete videos, so this is recorded. You can download it. You do what you want with it. I don't care. It's be my guest. But I mean, nobody watches your channel anyways. I don't think. But what? Well, I mean, I'm not trying to pull this, oh, look, I got 100 people watching, 300 people watch the debates. But I mean, for most part, if you're going to have, a hangout where people want to watch it, at least have something they're worth watching. If you're just restreaming, that's not really that much interesting. Unless it's Rum and Coke night, because we like restreaming the live chat from the Flat Earthers. That is kind of fun. But
do a Coke and Coke night.
Coke and Coke night. Oh, God. Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of that, did anyone see or listen to Ronnie's latest hangout tonight?
I did not. I haven't watched a Ronnie hangout for quite some time, and they get deleted, so I don't even bother going back. I think Pew tries to record.
So hard to watch too, boy.
So, the reason I mentioned it is that someone, I don't remember who, someone reposted it and made a comment about. So Ronnie's latest hangout, where he was obviously on coke, because he is speaking so fast, it's hysterical. Is
it still recorded?
Absolutely.
Was this the one where he?
I don't know. But I've been listening for a while.
He lives in California, right? Where does he live? He lives in California, right?
No,
Chicago.
No, he lives in Chicago, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, True Pearson just had a video today.
I was actually
there too.
Maybe it's just
caffeine. Go back and check. Yeah. Well, maybe it was something, but my God, he was fast. I'm gonna take a look, see if it still exists. I was tempted to go back and listen to it and put it in double speed just to really
2 times. Well, he had a video. I don't know if it's still up, but he had some kind of hangout today with some kind of Matt Dillon fanboy, he said, or something like that. But again, I don't watch his stuff unless somebody tells me something's of interest. Like, I didn't even know G-Man had a video about me really until I was just doing something. It came up in my feed, and then I think I kind of knew of it, but I didn't watch it. But I mean, he had a 30-minute rant about me, and I'm like, see, I don't bother.
It.
Yeah, I mean,
but he did.
It's just it was so goddamn dumb. It was ridiculous. And G-Man's all bitching. Why did Steve
no funny except my own?
Well, he's like, why did Steve tell PZ Myers not to have a debate with him? Because I think it'd be wasting PZ Myers' time to have a debate with Kent. If PZ Myers wants to debate, he needs to debate somebody worthy of debating, like maybe like Fuzwaner, who he did debate before, and he did a wonderful job. Or, one of the other PhDs from AIG. Not waste your time with Kent, who has just nothing to offer. And people are asking, are we done with Kent? Yeah, probably for some degree. I don't know.
I love King Crocoduck's main title of the debate, "The Beautiful Destruction of Kent Hovind."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he does a beautiful job.
All in caps, and he has.
Like that.
I think I made Casey sad. I didn't mean to. I just gave him my honest opinion that I think there's too many rabbit trails.
Basically, he's saying he spaghettified Kent Hovind in that black hole.
He spaghettified him.
A lot of claims that they never seen.
So I guess Ronnie's still playing his hangout, but he's got 12 people watching. Go Ronnie. Yeah, and it's just basically like Risen, Built for Speed, the same CCP clan.
Still going on, but he's slowed down. In the earlier part of the hangout, he was on speed, I swear.
That's not a hangout. That's just like a 4-hour monologue. He's literally just monologuing for like 4 hours.
Yeah, because nobody will go in. Nobody will go into his hangouts. He has burned his bridges with everybody, and nobody wants to waste their time with him because, 1, you know you're going to be talked over. 2, you know you're going to be muted. And 3, you know it's not going to be gift up. So why bother? Because if he says anything, you're not going to be able to go back and hold him to the accountable for it.
But
is that...
Because watching the debate tonight, I had like the realism that this seemed like the same debate that he's always the same script that he's been using for the past 15, 20 years. It's like there was literally nothing different that he presented. You know, it's just like
there's nothing different he ever says. I could tell you word for word what Ronnie's going to say. You know, it's just nothing different. He monologues. How anybody can sit there and listen to him babble, I have no idea. I just don't know.
Is that how people kind of feel about rational theist Matt, or how do people generally view that guy?
Well, I think that he's viewed as somebody who's not worth engaging with because his whole thing is being a contrarian and obfuscating things. So he doesn't really give a shit about the argument, I don't think. He's wrong about everything, so I just don't care.
If you look at his forehead carefully in his latest photos, it looks exactly like Palpatine.
Yeah, I don't engage him. He's a waste of time.
I thought you were gonna say you saw an image of Jesus Christ in his forehead. And
no.
Awesome, Jesus and Matt.
I kid you not. Just take Revenge of the Sith Emperor Palpatine and put it next to his face, and they match exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I think a lot of people, like Lucifer Almighty says, he completely stopped watching. You know, Ronnie. I agree. I pretty much don't watch his stuff at all. I don't watch G-Man stuff. By the way, Stiles, if you got nothing to add, we don't really need trolling. I mean, it's just not becoming. This isn't.
I think G-Man is just on such a high level of intelligence that he just appears stupid, and he's just actually on another level.
This isn't fiction
fighters.
So.
People have said that before.
Oops, shoot.
I remember somebody who swore up and down that Venom Fang X was a Poe.
I didn't mean to do that, Scuba Steve.
No, I'm sorry. He's not. I wish he was. But...
Sorry, Scuba Steve.
You know what's the sad part about it? If Ronnie or even Kent Hovind took the time to learn some of this stuff, they may be dangerous. But it's just to the fact they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's just gotten to that point. It's like, you know, I understand now why people who are serious don't debate creationists, because they really just don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and it's here's the thing. The goal obviously is to get younger creationists to realize that the people promoting younger creationists are wrong. And some of this stuff is technical, no question about it. And most of it they don't understand because these people
it's not technical, it's just common sense, right?
No, there's some technical stuff. There really is.
No, I'm kidding.
But
Kent just kept saying about...
Oh, yeah, Kent's saying, yeah.
Oh, it's my...
Well, that's what I was going to go to. Kent wants to dumb this stuff down to make it, because the people are idiots that follow him. He wants to make it appear so easy to them, right? Oh, look, it's so simple. Because these people really don't understand anything complicated. They don't get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, even a caveman can argue for creationism, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Now, sorry, Scuba Steve, I accidentally deleted your hangout. your comment rather than somebody else's.
And in fact, just quickly, that's
McCrob,
a
don't say
point
things
Casey
like
brought
that,
up.
please. I take that stuff very seriously when you're accusing people of child porn and stuff like that. So, can we delete that comment, please? I got it.
What Lance just said reminded me of something brilliant that
you
Casey
didn't take it seriously last time.
Through your common sense.
Wait, can I be heard?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the whole common sense thing, or the intuition, it was like, apparently a heavier object will land
first.
that
Great
sort of
example,
thing.
too.
No, but But Casey then brilliantly said that ultimately it comes down to rigorous mathematical training that then gives you the formulations or the skill to formalize theorems and so on to describe what you cannot understand through intuition. For example, in this case, relativity. In that regard, or even if you're talking about the Planck epoch, there's theorems to try and describe that quantum gravity era. We can't intuitively think or feel or experience what that might look like or see or feel, but the point is, here's a mathematical argument. He brilliantly said, look, you have to go through all this rigorous mathematical training in order to then have the skill set to then write up the formulas and write up theses to predict certain outcomes. And that is thoroughly what the scientific endeavor is all about, which Kent Hovind has absolutely no clue. And I was just, when his immediate response to that is, common sense is still okay. I'm paraphrasing what he was saying, but common sense and it's good enough. It's the Australian saying, "Oh, she'll be all right."
But common sense is only for just run of the mill mundane stuff. Common sense falls apart when you're dealing with technical things. I mean, look at the Monty Hall problem, right? How many people thought that it doesn't matter whether you switch doors or not because of quote common sense. It's not until you actually do the enumerations and break it down mathematically where you can find that particular conclusion is wrong. You need to know a little bit about math at least to understand it. What?
It does look like the sun is rising and setting, even though that's not what's happening. The Earth is turning.
Well, that leads to the sun rising and setting.
I think in that entire debate that just happened is the crux of the debate. That moment, because here we have an example of the actual embodiment of rigorous testing, proof, truth, all that associated in the language of mathematics for the sake of this is what the data says and you go by what the data says versus complete blind belief, subjective belief that this is what fits my little bubble universe in my brain. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel nice, and I'm going to defend it to the utmost ability. Here you have complete, what's the word? Cognitive dissonance?
Cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Kent's context versus someone who's a rational, open-minded thinker.
You also have the backfire effect.
I mean, you couldn't see any more polarized than that.
One thing, even watching this debate and just trying to understand how Kent views both sides, he views science as he does religion, in the sense where he says his religious beliefs are correct, unchanging, and it has always been right. And he's trying to view science within that same box, not understanding science is provisional. Everything we know today can be changed by some discovery tomorrow because it's about evidence based. It's not this whole dogmatic, just believe it because we want it to be true. And I think that's the issue when Kent is comparing them, he's comparing them in the dogmatic sense where they cannot be false. And that's why he's able to use books from 10 years ago or 20 years ago and says, this science is still the same science we have today, which is not true.
But the best part is, if you think something's false in science, demonstrate it's false, right? Go ahead. Right? Scientists love when you demonstrate something not to be the case, right? That's how science learns. So that's not a weakness of science. That's how science gets better. That's how we've learned things. It's a self correcting mechanism in science when you can show something to be wrong, right? So this epistemic uncertainty that people put in there, going, oh well, you can never know for certainty, does not matter. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. It's a red herring. All we need to do is produce something that works and models and explains. And then if a better model comes along, we take the better model. That's how science works. And these guys, they lack the education. They lack the ability. they lack the facts to actually show that any of these things are wrong. And so because of that, they have to, pull this crap rhetoric that they pull. This empty rhetoric and the sophistry. That's exactly what they have to do. They have nothing else.
They say they already know the answer, Steve. They're not.
That's
saying
sophistry,
we already know
though.
the answer.
I mean, that's just.
No, you're right.
That's
But that's all they're saying. We know the answer. Nothing you can tell us is going to tell. Nothing you're going to say, no matter how much evidence you provide, is going to change me from what I believe because I already know the answer.
Yeah, and that's just arrogantly stupid. Hey, what's up, Macabre?
It's like a constant theme to shoehorn. Well, he mentioned it, bringing up science to pimp your religion, and kind of shoehorning religion into scientific understanding, making it fit instead of having it fit for what it is.
Like even the point that he made up with KT with KC and the stretch. He pointed to the Bible verse where it said, God stretches the space or whatever. And well, he said, but in the verse it said stretched in the past tense. And it's like he has to read stretching because the universe is still expanding. It's accelerating expansion. So that word shouldn't be in the past tense. But he's so desperate to make this equal this. He's saying stretched.
Yeah, and a few decades ago they would have said
that that's not representative of what's going on.
But a few decades,
I'm going to throw in a little spanner as a concordance that it actually stretched and stretching appears twice. Each one time in that one verse in Isaiah 40:22. So you have a past tense stretched, and in the qual perfect form, and he continues to stretching this thing we call the tent fabric of the dome structure in that ancient cosmology. Which, if you want to analyze that to the universe, then yeah, the universe is continually stretching. It was once stretched, and now it's stretching.
That didn't seem like what the verse that he put up. He put up stretched, highlighted, and said this means universal expansion, and that didn't seem right.
But as soon as decades ago, before we knew that the universe was accelerating, they would have said, "Oh, look, it's stretched," and that you're done. And then we find out accelerating, and then they have to again ad hoc add on to it more. Oh no, it's still stretching, and the Bible says that too.
So to be fair with KC, someone like Floyd, ancient Near Eastern cosmology is all that context is speaking about. It's what's going on is you have in the ancient Near East you have this void of bluish water. All right, and then imagine a bubble starts to expand and stretch, causing like a vacuum within the bubble, and so it's separating the water outside of it, and then what appears within the bubble is like this flat thing that starts to circulate at the equator of this bubble. That is the ancient cosmology thinking of how the Earth was formed. That the vast void of watery substance, like air bubble, just appear and it stretches. That's the context. So now Kent Hovind doesn't know that. If he was faithful to the ancient Near Eastern cosmology, he would be arguing for that model. Correct. The universe didn't start.
General, I'm just not. General, everything you said sounds good and it sounds very scholarly, but it sounds like there's a lot of interpretation there going on, and you ask. It's just interesting. You can ask. You can put 10 Christians into a room, and I think you can get 10 different answers on what certain scriptures mean. So
someone like what I just said is not even an interpretive issue. It's a fact. That's what they believe. I mean, Floyd would be agreeing with me on right now. That's exactly what ancient Near Eastern people were thinking. I just go the extra step and say, hey, there's an interpretive nuance. Curious that you have both a stretched and a continual stretching in that one particular verse. But I'm not going to argue the way Kent was arguing in light of the way he was doing it to KC, that Bible verse first in order to interpret the science. I'm sorry. Look at the science first before you do anything else. That's where I come from.
Hey, you guys want to have some fun with
Yeah, but General,
hang on. You guys want to have some fun real quick on the outside chat with Infinity Guy? Because I know exactly what Infinity Guy is talking about. But Infinity Guy, I challenge you. So let's see if you take up the challenge to not find a pop science publication talking about this, not finding something that suggests this might be true, but your claim was that the universal expansion has been disproven. That requires a scientific paper that's actually shown has been disproven. So can you give us that citation of a scientific paper that's actually shown that universal expansion does not happen? And again, I'm not talking at all about something you find in pop science. I'm not talking about what ifs. I'm not talking about what is it? The supernova data from the L1A supernovas that they were finding out that it maybe not exactly what they predicted, but I want the exact paper that you've claimed disproves universal acceleration. So do you guys think you could produce it? Guys? Well, he just said he found it's a link from Nature. Oh, Nature's not going to work. Sorry. I want the actual paper, not some pop science, not Nature, not Science Digest, not Space and Astronomy. I want the actual paper because that is.
Is this from the journal Nature?
No, it's from nature.com.
Because a lot of times they cite their sources in the paper.
Yeah. Yeah, look what he just posted. Right. Marginal evidence for cosmic acceleration from type L1 supernova. That's exactly what I was referring to.
Okay, let me go. I'm not in there, but let me go look. That is the journal Nature. Is the journal Nature. It's one of the preeminent journals in
Wait, it said Nature. There's a magazine,
world.
Nature, and there's a journal. That what he's referring to did not disprove universal acceleration. It's not what the paper said.
Just a moment to brag really quick. My first and probably only ever academic publication may be appearing in Nature Neuroscience. And I'm fucking stoked about that. So that's all I have to say.
You're getting a paper published in Neuroscience?
Nature Neuroscience.
Nice. Great. Yeah. Well, we're proud of you. Yay. But real quick before we lose the thread on this. In order to make another,
that, I am going to be maybe 20th on the list of about 45 authors, but still.
Hey, that's still good.
I'm still fucking happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Peer Review got published too. I read his paper. Really good.
Evidence for.
So, but the reason why this is in fact, the reason why he's absolutely wrong, Infinity Guy. In order to disprove something, in order to have a certainty, you have to have what's known as a certain amount of sigma certainty. Usually for like an elementary particle, it's 5 sigma, which is like 99.9999996%, I believe it is, of certainty. They have not reached that yet. They have not gotten 5 sigma certainty about the universal expansion from looking at the L1 supernova. So your claim that has been disproved is wrong.
No, wait.
No, he says, Steve, are you saying nature is not a reliable source? I'm saying, no, you're not reading what it says. I've looked into this before. Okay, they have not reached any kind of certainty that the universe is not expanding. What they're saying is there's some indications that it might not be a universe expansion, but that's not, the paper does not conclude that universe expansion is wrong.
Yeah, it says here this is far short of the 5 sigma standard required to claim a discovery of fundamental significance.
Okay. Control.
Yeah, because let's say if universal expansion was disproved, it fits so well within what we see. It would just like it would overturn. It would make us rethink physics because it fits well within what we expect to see.
Right, but universal expansion right now is at 3 sigma. RSC says in medicine they use 4 sigma. Well, in particle physics they use 5 sigma. Yeah, Infinity Guy says, I'm not talking about expansion. I'm talking about accelerated expansion. That's what we're talking about. Accelerated expansion, one of the explanations for it is dark energy, right? Dark energy is the quote-unquote cause, which is the, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe like the negative cosmological constant in Einstein's field equations. It actually works out. There is a force that's showing the universe is accelerating. And no, they did not disprove accelerated expansion, Infinite Guy. You're absolutely wrong.
Well, Steve,
isn't it like 70% of the energy in the universe is dark energy or something like that?
Yeah, there's only 5% of actual matter is visible. The rest is visible.
I want to look who actually blogged about this.
Hugh Ross.
Hugh Ross did, yeah,
did he?
on this 2016 paper.
There you go.
He says here. So did the Nobel Prize winning team make a mistake? Was the 2011 Physics Prize award without cause? Is 2/3 of the universe still missing? Blah, 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 right? So as I've said many times in my outreach talks and written several in the articles, do not believe claims made in popular web articles about the scientific discoveries until you first read at least the abstracts of the relevant peer-reviewed research papers. Wilson and so on show that the analysis of the supernova database yielded a 99.7% certainty. The cosmic
That's 3 standard
rate is
deviations.
accelerated.
99.7 is 3 sigma.
That's a 3 sigma standard deviation. Then.
Okay, that's
so in physics and astronomy, 99.7% certainty of the truth of a result is not considered good enough to establish that the result is true. The standard is 99.999, which is the 5 sigma one. But so their analysis of the supernova database, however, was quite different from that employed by astronomers who specialize in supernova studies. The teams who do specialize in supernova research long ago, at great distances and hence much earlier formation times, possess different elemental abundances which give rise to slightly different light curve properties.
okay.
When these selection effects are fully taken into account, certainly that the cosmic expansion rate is accelerating based on the supernova data alone rises to better than 99.9%.
Right, this is the way it works. You now have 2 competing hypotheses, right. And one of them has a higher degree of certainty based upon data than the other, but the other is still thrown out there, right? Because you're always trying to disprove things that are existing. You're always trying to disprove it. So this paper's out there trying to throw a wrench in it and trying to disprove it, but they haven't reached the level to say it's disproved. That's the difference. So when somebody says, "Oh, they've disproved this," they're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, and as you wrote,
okay.
Yeah, as
okay,
he writes here,
Jade, are you okay?
So he says,
all right, here it is.
Jade, are you okay?
What? Yeah, I'm fine.
You when you talk to yourself, we either think it's heat stroke or alcohol.
Yeah, I know. I mumble to myself when I'm doing stuff. Anyway, and what I was trying to do is I was trying to find the paper they're talking about. That's it. The reason I couldn't find it originally is it's not in regular Nature. It's in the Nature Journal Scientific Reports, which is an open access journal run by Nature.
But you see how people take these things and they read something and they just run with it.
But so anyway,
that's actually why I popped into the Hangouts. I wanted to maybe well, one, a bit of a hypothesis, but two, just discuss your thoughts on it. What like Hovind and, for example, Part-Time Vegan, who I saw you having a chat with in the Great Debate Community Forum, Steve, is that they latch onto one fact and they can't understand how to mentally assess whether it's concordant with any other fact or whether one particular interpretation might be correct if it wasn't for the fact that all previous knowledge gained would have to be rejected in order to accept this particular interpretation of a phenomenon. It's almost like they can't harmonize thoughts in their head.
Right. Yeah, there's very little concordance with a lot of these. It's very disjointed, right? I mean, if you look at all the young Earth creationist arguments, they are so disjointed, it's unbelievable. There's just nothing that relates to anything that we know to be real.
But I think it's almost a learned behavior from the way they actually read the Bible, which is that no two verses have to be contextually dependent. They can cherry pick from their own holy book and have competing ideas on how that should be interpreted. Ergo, he takes that stretch the heavens like a tent line and tries to assert that it means something that it explicitly doesn't.
Yeah, well, when you start with the paradigm that your holy book has to be right and nothing else can ever be wrong, I mean, say that it's wrong, I think you're automatically doomed for failure if you're dealing with science.
No, it's always bugged me because they'll cherry pick anything from other literature the same way they cherry pick out of the Bible. And I've always believed it's not so much intentional dishonesty, but a learned behavioral pattern where they can pick one line in a scientific journal putting forth an argument that directly contradicts their beliefs.
It's called Morton's Demon.
Isolation can be used.
Have you ever heard of that, Morton's Demon?
It's called what?
It's called Morton's Demon. Morton's Demon, named after Glenn Morton. He was an ex-young earth creationist that basically said that young earth creationists has a little demon in their head that filters out selective information, that basically that anything goes against their paradigm gets rejected before they even get a chance to process it. They basically, it's like they never even looked at it. And so the only thing that's filtered through is things that help support their already preformed beliefs. And he called it Morton's Demon.
You dropped out there. I missed that last.
Oh, they call that Morton. He called it Morton's Demon, or they call it Morton's Demon.
Oh, makes sense. It's definitely one way of, I guess, analogizing the situation.
So real quick, though,
that it was explicitly dishonesty. I've always thought that it was some sort of behavioral behavior, some type of behavior as opposed to an intentional lying.
Yeah, no, it's a combination. It could be. It varies from person to person. I don't think there's one size fits all. Some people may be just outright dishonest. Some people might have a cognitive dissonance. Other people might actually really believe it. Who knows? Everybody's different. But my point, like for example, even with this person saying that the universal acceleration of the universe has been disproven. That's no different than somebody saying, remember back when they found the neutrinos at a 60 nanosecond difference, and they're like, oh, they found the speed of light has been broken. They've disproved Einstein. No, they hadn't. And yet you still have people running around going, oh, look, they found neutrinos going faster than the speed of light. Einstein was wrong. No, he wasn't. It's the same principle. These people go around and they say things when they haven't done the due diligence to look into it, and then when you confront them on it and you even show them, just like General did, they still sit there and go, oh well, atheists don't cherry pick. What? Of course they do. It's like, what does that have to do with what we pointed out to you? I don't understand these people, man. I just don't.
Like how I was, for example, like before when I was trying to build that argument that genocide is not necessarily a bad thing. I think we could maybe build an argument around pruning the gene pool of this type of retardation might not necessarily be a bad thing.
You guys talking about me?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, by the way, Steve, I'm sorry if I did get a bit crazy.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't know. I was like, holy shit, you got off the deep end. I don't know what the fuck. And then you pointed out that you had mentioned something about you trying something. And dude, I don't remember. You probably told me on a rum and coke night. You think I'm going to remember that shit?
Oh, yeah, it was a rum and coke night. I drank about, a quarter bottle of scotch by the time I brought it up. But, yeah, it's the idea that if you can defend something intellectually indefensible, it's, I don't know, it's always something I've found quite fascinating. It's almost like trying to work out how to use rhetoric to, I guess, convince people emotionally that you're correct as opposed to factually.
Well, flat earthers do it all the time, right?
It's the only way I can put it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take much to convince people that they're right. Like, and that's pretty much all you're doing in this case. Like, you're convincing people that they were right all along, and that's pretty easy.
And let me ask you guys. I mean, supposedly, like they found out that universal acceleration was wrong. So what? How does that change anything? It doesn't get. It doesn't get. I said supposedly they find that universal acceleration is wrong or something. So what? It doesn't get you anywhere closer to God than you were before. It doesn't get you anywhere different from science than we had before. It's just science has now learned something new. Well, I don't understand these people's arguments of why they want to try to disprove dark matter or dark energy. It gets them it doesn't do anything for them. It doesn't help their argument for theism at all. Like literally zero.
I think in the young Earth creationist mind, you'll have two options. You'll have Big Bang cosmology, with evolution, so basically naturalism and all the science that I just said, and the other option would be creationism. So if you can eliminate that, if you can kind of poke holes in that, then that'll give more credibility to creationism.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
but with any extreme ideology, it seems that in order to justify their belief, they have to almost construct a straw man of their enemy. So, for example, you talk to a vegan, you're either vegan or you subside on a diet of McDonald's and steak. There's no happy medium. You talk to, an SJW, you're either a sexist, misogynistic rape apologist, or you're an SJW.
That's pretty well true, actually. Yeah, if you're not with them, you're automatically against them, right?
An SJW. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not with them, you're definitely a homophobe, bigot. I don't know this person. I hate people with no icons. Oh, do I let this person in?
Nuts.
No, it's not these nuts. It's Michael Powell. I don't know who this person is, but we'll give him one shot. One sec.
Have you advertised the abortion debate?
Did I what? Oh no, not yet. Go ahead. You can put a shout out.
Hey, Richard, you're back.
Go ahead, put a shout out. Well, hang on real quick, Michael. Do we know you, Michael? Because you have no icon.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Are you legit?
Yep.
Okay, but we don't know you.
You don't know me.
Okay, a new person. So you want to be one of the cool kids?
I might try. Maybe I won't fit in. I don't know.
Oh, well, you know what? You're good to go. Okay, so welcome. But real quick, before we get into a new person, because I like new person, Richard, do you want to shout out to your hangout tomorrow?
Oh yeah, sure. We're doing an abortion debate. It'll be basically pro-life versus pro-choice. It'll be at 9 p.m. ET Eastern Time on the Great Debate Community channel. So not Steve's channel, the actual GDC YouTube channel. So you guys should go click subscribe to that, and you'll get a notification when we go live.
You really should try to get Antonio, but he won't join. But you should anyways, just to show that he's not really interested in having actual discussions on it, because he has debates on or discussions on abortion. He gets about 10 people. You on the this will probably pull in 30 to 40 people, because it's the Great Debate channel isn't very large yet. So
yeah.
But
wait, who are you talking about?
Antonio Fletcher. That's his biggest thing is abortions.
Oh,
everybody's got their little pet peeve. That's his.
He's a G-Man clone.
He's pro-choice. Yeah, no.
Oh.
Yeah, he's definitely a G-Man clone.
Oh, okay. Okay, I have like 5 pro-lifers lined up, and they're pretty. Most of them are pretty solid. So we're kind of set on that. I'm really looking for more pro-choicers. So if any of you guys want to join, just go to the GDC Google Plus page and leave a comment.
See, I'm pro-choice, but I'm a pro-choice moderate. I think the best. Okay, here's my. I don't want to get into a huge discussion on abortion, but in a nutshell, either side is going to win out right now. It's just not going to work. The political thing, you're never going to have one party get their way completely. So it's not going to happen. So you have to have compromises. The best compromise right now is to have abortions legal up to the first trimester, and then after that, then no. And I'm against partial birth abortion. I find there's no need for them whatsoever. But you cannot eliminate the ability for a person to have an abortion. You can't do it up to a certain point. After that point is that line of demarcation has to change. You can't have somebody say, "I'm going to go 9 months and then want an abortion." That makes no sense to me. But if within the first 6 months or something like that they want an abortion, yeah, whatever. I think with the point where until the baby starts having a nervous system, I don't give a shit. right? And I think that it's
Steve,
perfectly
you
legal.
should come in tomorrow you should come in tomorrow so I can take you out to the woodshed.
I hate the abortion
Steve,
debate,
I
to be
mean,
honest with you.
think about it like this. I mean, what if, you were pregnant, right, and then your child was suddenly old enough to become a communist? Wouldn't you then want to have a very late
yeah, there's after the fact
abortion?
abortions. I know that a lot of parents want to have abortions when they're children are about 18,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work that way. That's called murder. Yeah. Legally.
Retrospective abortion.
Retrospective, yeah, exactly. Retroactive abortion.
Seriously, you should come in tomorrow if you're not doing anything.
I'm just not really interested in the whole abortion debate, to be honest with you, Richard.
Oh yeah. People were asking if we would do the legal thing, like you just brought up, and I said Steve doesn't want us to talk about politics, so it'll mostly be philosophy. And
well, I don't care if you talk. Well, no. Here's the thing. There are reasons to talk about politics and certain things that are great debate topics. Controversial things are fine. When I say no politics, I don't want somebody to get up there going, "Yay, Trump sucks, Hillary sucks." I have no interest in that. That's not fostering any dialogue. I don't want politics like that. But for example, I posted something about game theory. Did Trump make a mistake in tweeting what he tweeted to escalate things as far as possible outcomes? I think that's perfectly acceptable. What are the possible outcomes of this, right? And phrase it into something way that's least having to do with something science related, or I don't know. But I just don't want the whole, oh, I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, I'm a liberal, down with guns, pro-abortion. I don't really want to deal with those things in the GDC. They're not really applicable.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think it definitely increased traffic, but it also could be shit.
It would cause too many problems.
Australia has
What's that,
abortion
Stephen?
on demand. I'm a pro, but in Australia we have abortion on demand. It's here. And of course we have a national health system like the UK. So if you want an abortion, just go in and have one.
Yeah, I think there has to be
what the
some
cutoff
kind of
point
limitations. Like I don't see a need for an 8-month abortion. Unless obviously for the health of the welfare of the mother, granted, but other than that, you're not going to the pro-abortionists, so the pro-life are never going to get abortions eliminated. This is not going to happen. Not going to be a reality. And the pro-choice, they're never going to not have some limitations on abortions in some places, I don't think. So it's going to have to be a trade-off. They're going to have to make compromises, and unfortunately, both sides don't seem to want to make compromises.
By the way, to answer that question before, it's 6 weeks in Australia.
Sorry. I don't know, Steve. So there is actually a division between pro-lifers about incrementalism and abolitionism. So we do have some like full-on abolitionists, like say Jeff Durbin, who I like a lot, but he will take the position that the only thing on abortion is to just end it immediately, like a full abolition. Whereas many others would say that we would prefer incrementalism, so we would accept policies where like abortion is illegal except in the case of rape or something like that.
Well, incrementalism is the way to go. You're not going to get you're not going to get overnight things changed, and radical things don't happen. That's not how policy works in America.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole slavery debate that took place a few hundred years ago. Like there were the abolitionists and the incrementalists. And a lot of people knew that you wouldn't just get it overnight, like abolition.
Yeah, you take small wins leading to bigger wins to win the war. Because things don't happen overnight. But anyways, Michael, did you watch the debate? Michael? He already went AFK. I guess so. Was this 81 watching? Are you sure you're talking about TE or G-Man? No, not really. Lord Tomato Sauce. We don't talk about them that often. I mean, their names come up every so often. I don't talk about Ronnie that much because he doesn't really put anything, so it's not worth discussing. And he destroys all his hangouts, so I have nothing to go back and even verify anything with, right? Because I like to get my facts straight. And G-Man's just a babbling idiot, so there's really not much to address with him because he's just so ridiculous, it's not even funny. I mean, yeah, I would like to make some videos to respond to him, but I have to sit down and think, are they really worth my time? Because most people don't watch my original videos that much. Yeah, they get views. They get a few thousand views, but they don't get anywhere near something like a good debate will get. Right?
Yeah, but G-Man's adorable.
You know,
and
he's
every time he
annoying.
opens his mouth, they want to ruffle his hair and give him a pack of crayons.
I just want to scratch him behind his head and go, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You know, because he'll take that racist, I'm sure.
And then, maybe take him out for beer and hookies.
Let's go, yeah, I'd take G-Man up to Applebee's. We can go have some drinks.
So I guess related to that, why are a lot of these debates on the GDC, like a lot of the one-on-ones, just for entertainment value? Like you have Kent Hovind, who's really nothing. So why not have someone one-on-one like General, or someone who'd be more serious, like a
we have
better.
General's debated. General had Paul Humber. We've had General come in and talk to Hugh Ross, Fuzz Rana. Fuzz Rana's coming back on the 23rd. Hugh Ross is coming back next month on the 29th, I believe, September 29th. We have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah. The only reason I said that is because I get frustrated when I see like theist debaters who really don't know what they're talking about.
We had General Han Solo and Floyd debate on my channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah, get up to speed, man. Yeah. But see, here's the thing: you don't even have to debate to be part of the great debate community. I mean, we do have debates, but like G-Man says, well, why they call it a great debate if they don't actually have debates? Because not all things are formal debates. Discussions are a form of a debate in a way, right? I mean, you're having a discussion to see who has better arguments, right? Those are not formal debates by any means. Yeah. And then G-Man says, well, Steve's, the host of the Great Debate Community, but he never debates. Well, I kicked his boys, Truman Pearson's ass, and I kicked, no offense to Wayne Fillmore, I kicked his ass. But, he left Young with Creationism. I mean, how much more of a bigger ass kicking can you get, thanks to me and General Han Solo, who helped on that. But, I mean, what does he want? He never even watched those debates.
Well, Steve, technically you need to thank Richard for getting Wayne in contact with me, that then got in contact with you.
Oh, it's a chain thing. It's a chain. It takes a village, right?
Because Richard was the one that introduced me to Hangouts via Facebook post, and then somehow he got in touch with Wayne. I don't know how Richard. How did he get in touch with Wayne?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but somehow Wayne was involved.
Well, I had known Wayne for a while when he was a Young Creationist. We would go back and forth for a while. He got pretty belligerent after a while. What's that?
I won't take the GDC seriously until you get St. Augustine on here.
Who? Is he dead? Was he like a 17th century monk?
More like
further back than that, Steve.
14th century monk?
1,500 years, you got to go back.
Oh, so 500 AD?
300s, 400.
Yeah, 4th and 5th century. Yeah.
Well, we're doing a Ouija board experiment. Maybe we can give it a shot. Tyler Durden, you want to go?
That.
Oh, I don't follow.
I'd love St. Augustine to mention if he was in these Hangouts. He'd be, I kid you not, he would say things like, "My God is an African god." I'm not kidding, and I believe that Adam had a male friend apart from Eve.
Does Tyler Durden want to try to raise the spirit of St. Augustine, whatever?
Yeah, no thanks.
And you know what? That guy's probably going to have scriptural support to support what he's saying too. He's going to look at these scriptures. This is what I read them to say.
He thought that the Earth's surface was the Virgin Mary.
St. Augustine wrote over 1 million words, so I think, he probably spoke us all.
How about Thomas Aquinas? That'd be cool. Richard House says, I wish Anti-Citizen X would join. Me too.
I tell you, I'd pay to see Thomas Aquinas on one side and St. Augustine on the other.
Well,
St. Augustine was a Platonist, Thomas Aquinas was an Aristotelian.
Well, they don't play well with each other.
That'd be pretty good. I guess, Jade, I guess they're both talking to each other right now anyway. So
yeah, that's
so Tyler Durden is still waiting for
it.
Tyler Durden is waiting for a true believer.
We can't hear it.
Tyler Durden is waiting for a true believer to seriously propose a ritual. I don't know any. Yeah.
A ritual?
Yeah, Tyler wants to do
What
an
do you mean?
on-air seance or Ouija board or something like that, or a ritual to summon demons on camera. But he needs a true believer.
Well, when I was younger, I used to have this glass top marble Ouija board.
Why on earth?
And got lines of coke, but that's about it.
Someone want to summon Brett Keane?
Brett Keane just looks dead. He's actually technically still alive.
I don't know. I think when I look at him talking his mic, I can almost smell his milk breath.
Yeah, it's really difficult sometimes to tell. Yeah. Yachty wants to see a debate between Edgar and Darth Dawkins. Oh God, that would be the most excruciatingly painful debate in the entire history of debating.
He keeps messaging me and asking me if I want to do a hangout with him.
Edgar or Darwin's?
Edgar.
Oh God,
Edgar's
desperate. Him and MK right now. They just desperate for people to come into their hangouts because they're only getting at most a dozen views at a time. At most, MK gets about 6 a lot of the times, right? They're just not getting any traffic because they've shown people they cannot effectively run a hangout.
Well, Steve, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that because I've been in MK's hangouts a lot and MP2, and he usually moderates pretty well.
MK has gotten better. MK has gotten better, but you haven't known MK as long as we have. He has a hell of a track record overcome.
He seems pretty good.
He's gotten better.
Are these PC moderators, or are they their own hangouts?
They have their own hangouts.
Oh, okay.
He's gotten better, but he's still nowhere near where he needs to be, and people don't even want to go to his rooms anymore because they don't. He's a nutter. MK is not all quite there in the head. Let's be realistic.
On that part, I'll agree with you. But yeah, I find myself going back every now and then. Every day when he has one, I keep checking.
He even got to the point where he had to kick Darth Dawkins out because of
I'm trying to get Cosmic Skeptic. I talked to Cosmic Skeptic the other day. We're still supposed to finish something up. We have something we want to discuss with rationality rules, but these guys' schedules, because they also live in Europe, it's just so hard to actually make something happen. Yeah, Jade, I'm going to be nodding out here too. I think here soon we're going to be wrapping this up. I know, a lot of people want to talk about that debate, but yeah, they could have came in, they weren't coming in. So, anybody want to say anything?
I'm procrastinating with my housework for today, so I'll let you know. Thank you, everyone, for having a chat, and you all have a lovely day.
Yep, you too. Congratulations on your publication. That's awesome.
Cheers, Steve.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah, it's my honors work, and I decided not to pursue anything further, so it's probably going to be my only publication. So,
well, you know what? One is better than none.
Brag about it while I can.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I get to brag.
Thank you, sir. I'm also trying to get the Living Dinosaur in here. He said that he probably would, because he needs to let people know he's back, and YouTube is not really advertising his stuff like they used to. None of these people are getting numbers like they used to. People used to get hundreds of thousands of views. Now they get like 5, 10, maybe 20 on a really good video. It's been cut down considerably, but also there's a lot higher volume out there. And I'm finding with the atheist activist and the theist activist, sure, I like their content, but the reality is you've heard one, you've heard them all. They kind of all parrot the same thing, and I don't care to spend a lot of time listening to that. I love people like Godless Engineer John. He's great. I love Thomas Holy Kool-Aid. I love Logic, but I can only listen to atheist stuff for so long. It doesn't really entertain me that much, right? Because all they do is take apart a video that, okay, great, whatever. I like hangouts like this. I like my channel because we don't just take apart arguments or deal with things. We actually have conversations, and we invite people in to have conversations. And I think that that's going to be the strength of this channel and the Great Debate community, rather than putting out videos showing why some theist argument's wrong or some atheist argument's wrong. Those are great too, but that's not the direction I kind of see this channel specifically going in. Now, how the Great Debate community channel goes, that's kind of up to you guys, But does that make sense? Because how many places can you go to actually have a real conversation about some of this stuff?
Not many.
But I think that's what real life is for, isn't it?
You know what? Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. We don't say those words in here. Real life. Oh.
Real life.
Yeah. You're just living in a simulation. Shut the fuck up. All right, guys. So let's wrap this up. I'll have my Sunday show on Sunday. I'll probably have them a little earlier because it's a little bit bigger turnout. I may have a hangout tomorrow to try to get some questions for Fuzzrana when he comes on. So if I can get Bill Ludlow to drop by and Jade or a few other people, we can come up with some good questions.
Hang on a second. When is Fuzz coming on?
Fuzz is coming on the 23rd, but I got to find some questions for him. He wants 1 to 5 good questions asked of him.
In September.
Bill Ludlow did awesome. He was my my most recent favorite GDC discovery.
That was brilliant. I think Casey got a little hurt by that. And I can't say enough good things about KC. I love KC, right? But I really think Bill Ludlow put the banhammer on Kent. He just laid it down. I mean, he kicked his ass, picked him back up, and then kicked it again. It was great.
I don't know. What General Han Solo pointed out to me was that Bill Ludlow was kind of talking like a layman, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at KC's, especially this most recent debate, it has more scholarly depth.
Really, I have to disagree. I know what Casey's capable of, and I know a little bit about the topic. Casey went very superficial, very superficial.
No. Yeah, no.
It was not very scholarly.
But you have to agree, Steve, that when Bill debated Kent, it was good. I'm not denying that, because it was very good, very clear. You could follow along. Anyone could follow along with what he's saying. Stuck at that level. And the icing on the cake is equivalent of what Casey did today. That he did start out slow and simple, but the moment he got triggered, he's like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do what I know best, and that's what he did. And
I gave him an A-. I don't think Casey was happy with that, though. I gave him an A-. Do you think that was a bad grade?
Who?
I gave Casey an A-
to who?
KC, because
I give Bill and Casey and all the debates we've had, everyone, including myself, all A+, but it's all relative, though.
Well, you're just an easy grader.
Yeah, everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah, I want to take your courses, motherfucker. Hey, what's 2 + 4? 7. Close enough. Great. But you know what you need to start doing. You need to start doing your math stuff on the Great Debate.
Don't you realize that the derivative of x squared is 0? According to Mr. ID, so yeah.
Yeah, the derivative of x squared is 0. Go Edgar. Sure, we're gonna go with that one. But I do want you to have math hangouts on the Great Debate community. Start basic. Start with just basic entry level maths.
If you want me to do that, I can make a playlist.
Yeah.
Start with pre-calculus. Go.
I would start with algebra. Seriously, I would start with algebra. People need to be reminded of things like...
Stop wanting that ultra layman. I want to cut to the chase.
Dude, we're dealing with people in the Great Debate community. They hate math. Okay? You got 10 people like math. The rest, no. I would start explaining things like, exponentiation or absolute value or, I don't know.
I'm not going
great
simple
science
index laws.
Have any of you guys seen a channel by the name of Potholer54 on YouTube?
Well, duh. He's only one of the masters.
Okay. He's going to be debating Steven Crowder on.
Yeah.
He released a a little preview for it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I heard something like that. Yeah, Potler is amazing. It's Those Living Dinosaur. Don't forget to go subscribe to him. Holy Hallucinations. Good stuff. Booleanator says start with geometry. I don't know if you need to start with geometry. I don't think you need to go that far, because geometry you just never use. I mean,
you know what, Steve, leave it to me, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as to how simple and complex stuff can actually be. So,
well, I'll tell you, General. I'll send it to you. There's something that I found that relates math to like 10 basic things, and explains basically, okay, what is an imaginary number? How does cosine relate to the parallel or to the perpendicular? How does cosine relate to the perpendicular? All these things that people in going through high school they memorized, but they don't understand what's actually happening. They don't understand the relationship to sine and cosine, right? They don't understand things that are out of phase with each other by 90 degrees, or how
those
it applies.
Are things I'll be explaining.
But that's what I'm saying. Start with that stuff, right? Because I think that's that when people go, yeah, I actually understand. Okay, yeah, well, yeah. So something dealing with imaginary numbers, you're dealing with a rotational component. Right?
Exactly, because that then leads into trig identities, and you need to understand how they work to begin with in order to.
E to the I pi equals cosine, or e to the I pi equals cosine pi I sine pi. That's what you want to go to. Can anybody name that besides General? Or come on, anybody?
CIS.
Or you can say e to I theta equals cosine theta I sine theta. What is that? Come on. Somebody's got to know besides General in here. Wow. You guys
Those are math terms. I know.
E to the I pi equals.
E to the I pi plus 1 equals 0.
I mean plus 1, yeah, because it equals negative 1.
Yeah, so it's because it's e to the I pi equals negative 1.
So plus 1 equals 0.
Yeah, and that's a special case of Euler's identity of Euler's formula.
Right.
I do remember something. I did take math. Okay, what's this one? What's sine 3? SGN 3. See if General remembers this abstract shit. SGN sine 3. If you know about computer programming, you'll probably get this.
Sine 3. Wait. Are you talking about?
Yeah, the function is SGN, and the argument is 3. We have one person in live chat got it right so far. 2 people have got it right.
3. Are you speaking in radians or degrees?
No, just 3. Argument is 3. Now I got people changing their minds. people went from 1 to negative 1. If it's less than 0, it's negative 1. If it's equals 0, it's 0. And it's plus 1. If it's greater than 1, it's 1. So it's negative 1, 0, or 1. Those are the 3 return values from that function. So 3 would be 1.
Oh yeah, no, I see it. Yeah.
That's the kind of abstract shit that people forget. Because you don't use that kind of crap unless you do computer programming. The answer is 42. We're gonna go with 42. Or how about this one? What's? And you're gonna love this one. You want a simple trick question? Do you want me to see if I can try to throw you? Log E squared.
E squared?
Yeah, log of E squared. Now this is a real trick. This is a trick question.
Is 2.
Yeah, well, you suck. Whatever. You know what? Okay, it's different when it's written down. It's a trick question because yes, ln e to the squared is obviously 2.
Because you're canceling out the.
Right, but if I write it as log e to the e squared,
you have to. Right.
Would that change anything?
It depends on the base, though.
Okay, but
if it's
right, but if I write ln e squared, right? ln and e cancel each other out. You end up with 2, right? We agree, right? Right, General?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Now if I write it as log e squared, does it come up with the same answer?
Yep. It depends on the base. Like
it does depend on the base. It does depend on the base. Yes. But wait, here's why it's a trick question, because in mathematics, log is assigned to be ln. It's the log function is assigned to be the natural function. That's not how it works in like physics though. Physics log is always base 10 rather than base e.
Right.
But in mathematics, in newer methods and periodicals, when you see log of something, you assume it to be base e, therefore it's ln. So if you see log e squared, it means the same as ln e squared. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't realize that because that's, you know, because I didn't learn it that way. I would have laughed at you back then. I was like, no, log is log base 10. You know, no, well, actually, it's
and
not.
now they kind of get lazy in a way. Like I called it laziness, where they like if they're wanting to solve using log functions, they don't go log and then actually do the proper algebra. They just go ln so and so. But
I can tell you right now, the derivative of x squared isn't 0.
To differentiate between the two.
Sorry, Edgar. I can tell Edgar right now the derivative of x squared is not 0.
Is Edgar right now in the chat?
No, he went to go sob at his own hangout. Oh, they don't let me talk because I say stupid shit.
Does he actually do that?
Yeah, no, I'm not lying. He's literally went to his own hangout.
Yeah, he
said he was going to
a moment ago.
Yeah. But I was not going to sit there and let him go down this rabbit hole of morbid stupidity that had nothing to do with what the hell we're talking about. He's the guy that thinks gravity is a pushing force. Yes. Wrap your head around.
Yeah, I know. That was pretty funny.
Because he takes what Mishukaku said on a off the cuff off the cuff, you know, thing that whatever, like a interview that he had, and he was just talking to like lay people, and of course Edgar, not having any experience in science or physics whatsoever, took it as gospel. Oh, Mishukaku says that gravity is a pushing force. No, it's not. Matter of fact, in general relativity, it's not even a force, and Edgar doesn't even understand that. Why it's not a force. It's a
Actually,
pseudo-force.
Steve, I have a peer-reviewed paper here from 2016 that says that gravity is a...
You have your head up your ass is what you have. Yeah, I don't even know how that would even work because, like for example, when light bends through because of space-time curvature, because it's taking the natural geodesic path between two points in curved space, right? It's defining the natural geodesic line in that curvature. So how do you have something pushing on that? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like saying, okay, I'm gonna roll a ball down the hill. Gravity's pushing on that? No. You have a pushing force, which is the atmosphere, but gravity's not pushing on it.
You know the log e to the power 2.
Yeah.
So if it's a base 10 log, so
I don't know, it's like 1.7, I think, isn't there, or something? I figured it out once, or four something, isn't it?
0.8685.
What is it?
It's
I did it
basically
once. What is it?
You take the composite function of log and you make it into like a natural log. So obviously you get the 2 in the numerator, but then in the denominator, it's basically that it's log 10 in the denominator.
Yeah, no, I remember we had to do base changes.
Yeah.
And I also remember like logarithms. I remember that what is it, like log x divided by log y is equivalent to log x minus log of y. Is that right? There's a lot of formulas for this.
Because it's the division is
I'm not looking this up either. I actually remember this stuff. We also had to memorize a shit ton of fucking limit formulas. So like the limit of a constant as x approaches infinity or anything is a constant.
Right.
So lim k equals k no matter what your x is approaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hated that shit. And then
but this
Hospital's rules. Screw that shit.
Oh yeah, that is. I consider that rule to be the cheat method.
Well, that was the highest. That's the highest I got. The highest I got was learning Hospitalis rule and squeeze theorem. And after that, no, I'm done. We learned a little bit of PDE, but no, I didn't go any further. And I mean, I got a calculus book right here. In fact, I got it in my hands.
With my voice, I think you'll love multivariate.
And I haven't opened it, but I do have one in my hand called Calculus and Analytic Geometry by a guy named Sherman Stein. And it's funny is this was the professor that my roommate had back when he went to school at where the hell did he go to school? I don't know, some school. But this was actually his instructor. So now I'm opening it and I'm looking at this going, oh yeah, I fuck no. This is like advanced calculus for even calculus people. Even you look at this and go, what? Yeah,
right.
Analytical geometry. Should we quiz General? Should we put him on the spot? On some harder shit? No, that'd be.
Yeah, if he's really a physicist or just.
Oh, I know he's really a physicist. I've seen his books, and we went over to one of his things of thermodynamics, and yeah, he actually understood it and knew it, and yeah, he wasn't faking that shit.
Yeah, I have an entire Google Drive of books, Richard. I even showed my. In fact, let me show everyone my handwriting. So.
Would you like to share your Google Drive of books?
I have his drive.
I already have it. Like.
Oh yeah, you did already.
So let me just bring this up.
So what's the antidote? Here we go. Okay, these aren't hard ones. I'm gonna ask simple questions. If I remember it, then it's simple because I actually remember this one. What's the antiderivative of 1 over x with respect to x?
We didn't hear you.
Antiderivative of what?
The antiderivative, or the integral, of 1 over x with respect to x.
The natural log.
Natural log of x plus constant. Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah.
And the only reason I remember that one because you used that one actually in radiometric decays. It comes up quite frequently.
Okay, so let me just show you intro-apply, what intro-apply looks like. I don't know if this is appearing.
Yep.
So this is problem set 1, literally the start of the course in intro-applied math at an Australian university. So this is all my writing. Basically, as you can see, you start off with composite functions. So instead of saying y equals so-and-so, you put f of x, and then you.
Yeah, that's simple. That's not even composite functions yet. That's just putting something into the argument and putting it in the equation. That's too easy.
But then you start to you find the domain and range, and then
so set builder notation.
Right, and then you can find domains and ranges by inverting the functions. So the domain of the inverted function is the range of the non-inverted, and then goes on into here you go, composite functions.
Those are your composite functions. Yeah, the rules for composite functions.
GOF, stuff like that.
Drag just had to learn all that shit. We learned all that in college algebra actually too.
But is my handwriting neat?
Yeah, dude, you're pretty. My handwriting sucks, but I'll tell you what, when I really need to write halfway decent and I have a good pen, my writing's a lot like yours. A lot like yours, actually, with a good
this is when
fine point
trig identities are useful.
Yeah.
So like here you have a quadratic rule, and then you start including trig functions into this to solve the equations.
See, would you guys watch this stuff? Probably not, but who cares? We would. I mean, I would. So you should have these kind of things.
Yeah, I might watch it, but I wouldn't join because I would feel really stupid asking dumb questions.
Ah, fuck no. This is math. Everybody's fucking that stupid shit. Oh, Infinity Guy's asking us for a zeta function. Fuck no, I don't. I remember the zeta function. It's actually the gamma zeta function. I don't remember what the argument goes in to create what. Yeah.
And then, oops.
It's almost like the Riemann hypothesis.
And then
the affinity you guys talking about.
this is
What's
set
this?
5 on integrals and rectilinear motion.
All right, well, that's just figuring out the area over
Right.
a surface.
So this is all integration. By the way, this is still this is pre-calculus stuff, believe it or not.
No, it's not.
This is
If you're doing,
calculus, but
no, it's not.
but
If you're doing,
not the
if you're
actual
doing
full calculus,
antiderivatives, you're not in pre-calculus any longer, son.
Yeah,
Infinity guy just
agree.
said, if you answer my
No.
question, you've disproved the Riemann hypothesis. I thought it looked familiar. That's why I said. That's why I said. I think he's talking about the Riemann hypothesis.
The math course said that this intro applied math. So yeah, you're doing calculus in this context, but it's like you're cutting the tip of the iceberg with this stuff. This is still baby math compared to the actual calculus.
Yeah, no, none of that stuff was that hard. I did okay on that. All this stuff was just, this is all, I had calculus. So none of this stuff was too terribly difficult.
So like you found that, like say finding the volume of this particular
but
thing.
it's definitely
we have
not
a pi
pre-calculus.
outside. Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, in fact, problem set 5 is practically near the end of the course. So now this is literally delving into the calculus topic. And then calculus starts, and then you're talking about multivariable.
PDEs, yeah. See, we had to do PDEs only for the fact that because when you're doing
And partial
derivatives and you're dealing
derivatives,
in space, where you actually have a flux, you're always sometimes you got to hold one thing constant. Like I want to hold my x-axis constant if things change in the y and z dimensions. The only way you can do that is use a PDE. But we didn't get very complicated PDEs, and a simple PDE is not much different than a regular differential equation. They're not that much difference. You're just holding one constant while you're derivating the other two with respect to something.
Yes, this is the multivariate curriculum. This is the first tutorial of what we do. This type of math here. So there you go. You're already speaking about vectors here.
Yeah, well, I had to take
two
vector
variables.
analysis. Vector analysis is part of the Navy program. Tip to tail.
So here you go, working in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, those are almost like constraint problems.
Someone said in the live chat that when you guys started talking about math, his attention wavers.
Oh, we've already lost half our viewers when we start talking about math.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I knew what the Riemann hypothesis was, so fuck you all. Dude, I've been out of this shit for years. I'm lucky I goddamn remember fucking notation.
Richard, explain what's going on here.
Are you doing? Is that Laplace transformations? Are you using that as Laplace?
Yeah. This is all to do with vectors. So like, the.
Okay, Rob, I think I've got it. This is Koine Greek, John 1:1 in the beginning.
Well, transformations.
Yes, this is Logos language right here.
Transformations of matrices, when you really think about what they're doing and how you're rotating them in 3-dimensional space, starts to make a little more sense. When you just see it on paper, it doesn't make much sense. But when you see it visualized and go, okay, how am I rotating this? How am I changing this isoform? Then you go, oh shit, now I see how it kind of works. But until you have that visualization, this shit makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
From an octan. So
RC says this is supposed to be our King Crocoduck's after show. Now Steve reminisces about his math days. This is about anything I make it to be.
So from 45 degrees to an arctan of 1 minus t. This is the integral of sec to the power of 3 theta, and then you have to integrate this. So this is sec, by the way, sec is secant. So
yeah, I had this.
Anyway,
I wish I could find it. I had found this really cool little handy thing that showed you the relationship between, in one little picture, one little diagram of triangles, showing you the relationship between tangent, cosine, sine, secant, cosecant, cotangent. Everything was just one little cool little picture, and I can never find it again.
I want Kent Hovind to explain this to me. I don't know.
He doesn't know math. He never claimed to know math. Well, no, he did. No, he did. He taught math, didn't he? He taught math. He taught physics. He taught biology.
Well, I kid you not, Steve. He was once out, and I'm still looking for that clip. He was once asked a question by a student in that creation seminar stuff he had, like those classroom seminars he had.
Yeah.
The student at the end of the class what's the volume of a sphere? And then he goes, ooh, it's been a while. Let me think. 4 pi r squared. No, that's a surface area. It's
Yeah,
not
I
the
remember you
volume.
mentioned that. Yeah, I remember he confused the surface area with the volume. Yeah.
That just shows you one thing about the school system too.
Yeah, because it's 4 over
God,
3, it's 4 over
somebody
3,
like,
right? Not 4. It's 4 over 3.
It's 4/3 pi cubed. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
4/3
you derive 4/3
pi cubed.
4 pi squared.
It's 4/3 x pi cubed. That's what it is, right?
4/3 pi r cubed.
Oh, pi r cubed.
When
I'm
you
sorry,
derive that
cubed,
with respect to r, yeah,
Yeah.
when you derive that, you get the surface area 4 pi squared.
Yeah, there you go. Volume equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed. There you go. Well, see, I had to think about it too. So, I mean, that doesn't... But I don't teach math, so... And I haven't had to use that in ages. But I remember something about it.
No, but it's just simple
Kent
things.
Hovind taught math.
Take the
but that's the
derivative.
point.
Not take the derivative.
Of 4 pi squared.
4 pi r squared. Yeah, because all you do is take the coefficient down. You take the coefficient, you multiply it.
You just get
You take the exponent, you multiply it by the coefficient, which gives you 12 divided by 3, which is 4 pi, and then r you minus 1 from the exponent, so you have squared. So it's 4 pi r squared, right? Did I do it right?
It's pi cubed. If you derive that,
Pi-
you get 4 pi squared. So from the volume to the surface area.
That's exactly what I just said, isn't it? The derivative.
Yeah. I thought you said derive again.
No. I'm just doing it in my head, because if you have 4 over 3 pi r cubed, you take the derivative, you just subtract 1 from the exponent, you move the exponent down, so you have 12 divided by 3, so you have 4, so 4 pi r squared. And then if you take the derivative of that, you have 2 times 4, which is 8 pi, 2 minus 1 is 1, so you have 8 pi. And the next one would be 8, and the next one would be 0.
Yeah.
You too can do these in your head after General's done with you.
I think I see why you can't do this in real life, because you don't have anyone that you can sit down with and just talk about math.
Well, you can always ask Edgar. Basic ones like that are not hard. Literally, you can do them in your head. I just did. They're not terribly difficult. General, come on, back me up here.
X squared is 0.
X squared. I died. Oh my god, I died when he said x squared is 0. I'm like, you're a civil engineer and you think derivative of x squared is 0? Oh my god, I've been out of math for 25 years and even I know that is fundamentally wrong.
Unless, Steve, unless, here you go, unless he was thinking it was a differential equation, a partial differential equation, where you're deriving with respect to y, then yes, x squared is a constant, and so yes, the answer is 0.
Okay, sure.
But that's only to hopefully maybe Edgar was thinking that.
No.
So.
No.
Hey, someone asked what Edgar's YouTube channel is.
Oh, I don't. It's called Edgar's Playhouse. I don't know.
Really?
No.
It's probably just Mr. Intelligent.
I think it's
Design.
Mr. Intelligent Design. Yeah. But I can't go searching for it when I'm streaming like this through OBS. I can't search for shit because it's too slow.
Why do you do it like this? Sometimes it seems like when you stream like this, you have a bad connection. Like you break up half the time.
It's not that bad. I like the after shows like to be like this, but the hangouts to be, or the debates, raw. You know. Because I like to get the live feed. I like to get their comments on the video itself, so people can read it when they go back and listen to this. Not only do they have something to listen to, they can read it, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But anyways, let's wrap this up. So, thanks, guys. Again, all the links to all these things are below. Subscribe to everybody. Again, want to be $1 Patreon, $5 Patreon. I'm happy. Yeah. People call that e-begging. Look, at Patreon is Patreon. If you don't like it, don't fucking give anything. Who gives a fuck? If you like it, then, donate. That's all it is fucking true. It's your choice, right? I really find it funny when people out there going, oh, look at these people on Patreon. Well, that's, how you get reimbursed for a lot of these people that put out some awesome content. Like, I'm sure Logic's videos take some time. What?
I give Steve 40 yen every month.
He lies. He hasn't given me shit so far. And 40 yen is like 3 cents. You know? Yeah, see, Paul Gia says, I'm sad I won't be able to see the side chat when I watch the debate. I agree, but the problem is I can't run streaming because they want the raw footage when Kent uploads it. But somebody could also have restreamed it if they want to. I don't mind that. I don't like this. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of the super chats. Let me tell you why. The super chats, one, they take out 30% off the top, and it takes about 60 days before you even see a dime. So if people, instead of giving $10 in a super chat, I'd rather have $5 to somebody PayPal me. It's just, or even become a Patreon for $2 a month for 3 months, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying don't do super chat, but if it's anything more than $10, don't do super chat. It's not worth it, and I don't need it that desperately right now. I'm doing okay, but I do like the fact people come Patreons. That shows me that they're liking the way the channel's going, the efforts going in to promoting a bunch of channels. The Great Debate community is to promote a lot of channels, including things like Paulogias and now Godless Cranium, because Godless Cranium has graciously put a shout out to us, and Holy Kool-Aid and all these great channels. So it's to help everybody, and we do that by getting great content, great guests, and great conversation. That's our niche, is to find conversation people want to listen to and then direct them to the channels that do a really good job in promoting why the shit's bullshit. And we talk about it. I mean, but if you want to go figure out why Kent Ham's bullshit is bullshit, go watch Paul Gia's video, right? Go watch him, and then after you get done watching all his stuff, you get all excited, you come to over here, and we talk about it. That's how I want it to work. What's wrong with that? And send me naked pictures. That works too. Do you guys agree that makes sense? That doesn't make sense, or?
Totally.
Okay. I mean, I feel like sometimes I just like throwing the shit against the wall and seeing what's sticking, but whatever.
Right on.
All right, guys.
I don't know who you're going with. It's like you're responding to hypothetical objectors who are telling you how terrible it is for you to ask for money. But I don't even see any.
Well, they were over in other hangouts. Yeah, it's
All
not
right.
just me, but no, it's there's talking about everybody. It's just like, look at. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into this stuff, and I just appreciate the fact that people support it through Patreon or through PayPal. I appreciate it at least, right? But I don't ask for more than what I think my channel's worth. I'm not no Brett Keane that's going to change my positions for income, because I'll tell you right now, if I became a flat earther, I'm motherfucker would be rich. I'll tell you right here now. I'll be rich. So, I mean,
doing a Patreon account was pretty mild. Like, some people could, I don't know, charge a subscription fee.
Yeah, see, I don't want to do any of that crap. No, nothing subscribed. All my content's the same. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie, Patreons really get nothing more out of it than non-Patreons for the most part. I was trying to do things where they could come up with a topic for a hangout. We do a PowerPoint. I've offered anybody who's given more than $10. You anytime, if you want a topic or a PowerPoint, we can put something together. That was part of the condition of being a Patreon for $10. That's what they get. But they get really no special treatment. Maybe they might get preferred seating on a special hangout, maybe. But I've actually lost Patreons because I took away their spanners, or that I've said no to them because they want to take my channel in a direction I don't want to go. So I stand my ground. So give me that fucking 40 yen, Richard, motherfucking cheap bitch. But anyways, guys, we're gonna call it a close. MP, you get the closing words today. Give us some good MP wisdom. The last people I gave the closing statements to, they just sucked. So come on, give us something good.
Put me on the spot, will you not?
Hey, that rhymed.
Good night.
We're going to go with that. That rhymed. That was the best one I've heard.